Both AFC and APNU have trumped up the benefits of coalition politics, but now a major disagreement threatens to break up the coalition, which dislodged the PPP from office 4.5 years ago. In their Valentine's Day agreement in 2015, APNU and AFC agreed that APNU would choose a presidential candidate and the AFC the Prime Ministerial Candidate, and they sealed that deal with the so-called Commingsburg Accord. That accord still exists, but ahead of next year's polls, there is no agreement on the candidates, and the AFC has now backed out of those talks until there is agreement.
The AFC has advised APNU that it cannot proceed with any further discussions unless and until this matter is resolved. The AFC recognizes the efforts of the two parties and their respective negotiating teams and the significant progress that has been made in developing an enhanced framework for future cooperation. However, the AFC finds it unacceptable that the matter of the presidential and prime ministerial candidates has been repeatedly deferred.
Dominic Gaskin, the AFC's treasurer, who is part of the party's negotiating team, told a press conference Thursday morning that he was not sure why the talks on the issue were being pushed back.
I would prefer if someone else or if someone from their side could explain to you, the media, what their issues were with accepting our prime ministerial candidate, because to be honest with you, it was not very clear to us on what basis the deferrals or the matter kept being deferred.
The AFC has decided that it will have current third Vice President Kemraj Ramjattan as the Prime Ministerial Candidate, and there will be no change in that position.
I would ask you why. We've already made a decision. We have internally not had any discussions that points us in that direction. And we don't accept that any other entity or any other party shall tell us or dictate to us who we should choose as our prime ministerial candidate. We're an independent party. We have made a decision, we have made a choice. Why should we revisit that discussion? Why should we go back to our membership and say, let's have another decision? On what basis?
Gaskin said he sees no issue with a prime ministerial candidate being selected ahead of the elections, saying it does not affect the constitutional provision for the president to make the appointment.
We're not asking the Commingsburg Accord to supersede the Constitution. We are saying that the AFC should name the prime ministerial candidate, and the APNU should name the presidential candidate. After the elections, the president appoints the prime minister as per the Constitution. There is no clash or collision with the Constitution in the Commingsburg Accord stipulating that the AFC will name the prime ministerial candidate. We did it before, it worked, there was no complaints. Most political parties that I recall in almost every election have named a presidential or prime ministerial candidate. I've never heard anyone complain that it was unconstitutional, and they did so before the elections. So I'm not sure where this is coming from.
Given the stalemate, the AFC's National Executive Committee will meet on November 2nd, and a decision could be made on how the party proceeds ahead of the March 2020 elections.
So at that National Executive Committee meeting, we will have to make some very definitive, or we'll have to make some very clear decisions on how we plan to move ahead and how we plan to participate in the elections. That is a discussion that we'll have to have at that forum. I can't preempt that discussion, but certainly the decisions will have to be made at that forum. So that provides a window of opportunity for these discussions to conclude. However, our position is that we cannot have any further discussions on a revised Commingsburg Accord until there is consensus on the positions of the presidential and prime ministerial candidates.
Party Chairman Raphael Trotman says neither the AFC nor the APNU would like the results of the elections if they choose to go separate ways, but he's hoping for compromise.
There's always room for compromise. I think by the very nature of negotiations, compromises must be found. There's a very famous principle in negotiations: the best alternative to a negotiated settlement, the BATNA. And I think both the APNU and the AFC have to look to see what is the best alternative to a negotiated settlement. Right now, I don't see a better alternative to a coalition, quite frankly.
Party Vice Chairman Cathy Hughes in a statement trumped up the AFC's success as a third party and said it did pursue one of its key pillars, constitutional reform, but did not get far with it.
We forget that the oil blocks were given out in the last 2 weeks of the PPP in government. That was the time that the Alliance for Change decided to join with APNU, a collection of parties in the national interest to rescue the country. Having won in 2015, the national interest required that we give our full commitment to making an agreed agenda work, including constitutional reform. We remain committed to that. Our Prime Minister convened a special committee to make recommendations to him on constitutional reform, and as you know, that was completed. His further attempts were either obstructed or resisted.
At the moment, it is unclear how the deadlock between AFC and APNU will be broken. For the newsroom, Neil Marks reporting.